Welcome to Gerald Johan van Waas Educational Channel. Today again I will explain something which you can find in my book Sound in Form, which is a method with which to understand words, all words with a capital. This is the book, it's out on Trafford, check it out, but I will tell you something about it, a little bit more about it. I will explain you some things which are not in the book or which are an extension to the book. So if you read the book, you can even learn something extra or adapt some of things that are in the book a little bit better, because also this series is part actually of the book and of what I'm trying to tell you. I already talked about the 28-part moon calendar, which was of Chinese origin, and it is of course related with astrology, because this is about the 28 parts that of the moon, or the 28 regions that are reachable in the star, on the star map. And these positions, they have a meaning. With this example, I can prove also that the astrology is actually not much more than a deliberate attempt to use the clock of the night sky to point out the changes in nature at certain times. That means that the changes in that occur, that are important, or of course also important in nature, are still materialistic changes. So it's not it's psychology, but it's not a belief system at all, and there's also no connection at all with the stars themselves. And it's very clear in this astrological method that they also point out that the stars don't really look like how they make symbols from it, because the symbols are important, because these symbols are important to remember these points of changes. Which changes are important for nature? We are interconnected with the sun and the moon, and there's a gravity in between, and so, and there are changes in nature. We are connected with the moon because all the cycles are connected with the moon because of the gravity of the moon. And we are also connected with the sun because of the sun gives us warmth, and then there's some other moments they don't give us that much energy anymore. So there's a fluctuation. All this fluctuation tribute to a rhythm, and there are some certain points where there are changes in the circling around each other that are important. Not much more than these certain points are important, and they are described, and it's also connected with a certain psychology, and I will explain it also like psychology. More than that, also letters, how we connect to every event in nature. The letters that we use are also connected with these positions, not because they are connected with astrology, not directly, but simply because this way of thinking, of moving our perception, is exactly the same as how we use astrology as an excuse to strengthen our connection points. So it is, astrology can be dealt with completely differently as we are used to. I'll explain you how. Thanks to my method of Sound in Form, it gives a little bit a different aspect that becomes clear through the explanations I will give. So of course the 4 seasons will be important, and how we connect to the 4 seasons and so on. And also of course the clock, very big clock that we connect to the night sky. And of course you already know, how do we connect ourselves to the clock at the night sky? It's of course through looking at the night sky and try to find out where we call it the Big Bear and the Small Bear, but it's actually called the Great Dipper, if I'm not mistaken. And this position of this star system, which is very easy to find on the sky, it allows us to see where the north of is and where all the stars move, so we can also find the clock, because that's what it is. We find the clock and we know exactly at which point in a time we are, and that's also important, of course, when we are farmers or when we are connected with food. That is very depending on the seasons and everything what happens. So that's why the clock always was important. This is the scheme with in the middle the 4 seasons as well. So what shall we do? The first thing is we try to find the North Pole, and we try to find the position of the Great Dipper. There you can see it underneath. There it is. So there are some preparatory phases. We try to in everything we do. So if we try to connect also with nature, it's the same thing as we try when we have a new idea. Let's see if we can do something with this idea. The psychological aspects, how we do that, and how we better do that, is exactly in the same patterns and the patterns that we use to watch the sky and make an order there are exactly the same as we should make an order in anything we undertake. So the first word that we see there in all the first word that we see there is, of course, and the first thing that we look at is the complete sky, the complete heavens, and how big it is. So from where to where does this region where we try to estimate something, how big is it? It's the whole night sky, it's a big circle. So it's this region of observation we have to define first. And then secondly, when we know these very large regions from the whole horizon, from the west to the east and from the north to the south, if we know all this region and what we have there, then we defined the region of observation. Next step is what is useful there. The first word that was there is P, which is exactly the same as the P to make a circle. Accidentally, a lot of words, if you know exactly where they are pointing at, they also are very fit to the words that have the same meaning in every language, more or less the same meaning. Can talk about that later. There's always one meaning with one word, but that's another discussion for another time later. So when we have the pi of the P here, we know the large region, and the next word is she. So we will find what is useful. What can we use there? What is useful that we can see within our region of observation? And the next thing is, because the Earth is wobbling and the moon is wobbling, not the whole sky is visible all the time. Some parts are not visible, so you can't deal with these parts all the time. So what is within our reach? And there's a word there that expresses this. This is the word way. So what is away from us? That's indeed an English word that fits very well with that. What is away from us and what is near us? So what is in the region that we have? These are already 2 parts from the 28 one. So there's an order in it of thinking, and it fits exactly how we focus ourselves upon the sky and then do something with it and try to get out the great elements there. So what is away or what is near? Then, of course, we can see what do we have here, what is the content in it, and which content can we also maintain in the whole region that we have. So that content we can keep. So, and the maintenance of the content is the word nu or newt is, so it keeps, there's a certain, so we can keep it pure without an influence, and we can use it anywhere in space without changing it. There's a purity in the subjects and objects that we start from, without that it's changing too much, so we can use it over the whole region. So that's why the word nu or newt, it's again in the space, we define the space. So okay, this object or this idea can fit into the space, so we can use only these ideas. Then the next idea, the next aspect from what can we use within this region, can we steer it a little bit, so can we do something with it, and that's the word new there. So there is something, we can do something new with it, so can we use it really, because it's useless to talk about something which is irrelevant or it's trivial, it's not important. So can we do something with it is very important. Then we can engage it and use it into our cycle. So we make a connection with it. We have the what do we do there with the steering? It's the ox, of course, of the axis point of the whole clock, and the nan is the connection to it, or the an, or the Anschluss in German. So from there we can do something with it. There also the word from the verb to or to do. We can finally start to do something with it. This is the first part, the orientation, the preparatory phases of these 28 parts. Is already the first 7 parts. So we define the workspace. We have the north, and we can finally activate it. So the other way around. So we have the tools, we have the clock, we can activate it. So it's the 0 point is our workspace. Then we see, you can see the symbol now, what it means. It's the direction. In which direction is this turning around of the whole cycle going, and this cycling. You can see there the Arias is very much looking the same. There's also the Arias looks the same, and it's also the bull. It looks the same. And the alpha looks a bit the same. These are connected with this idea of the turning point. So we know in which direction now this cycle is moving and is changing. Almost every system starts in this alpha on the same point of the ox or ax point, the 1 of the many numbers, and the A, of course. In all languages this is the same letter, the same starting point. It's the starting point of a direction in our thoughts, in what we can do. The next moment will be, we can see in the new, what is in the new or now moment, what's in the moment, what can we see in the moment, what is changing, how much variation is there. So there are some fluctuations in the expression. It's exactly the meaning of the letter B as well. So you can have also already an idea what the letters are about. Is exactly the same as these positions. The next point is, of course, these estimations. Yeah, to where does it go? Where, in which fluctuation is part of it? So the estimation is the and the C is the what you really can get out of the moment, what you have right now in this position, in the now moment. Sorry, I was already a little bit too quickly. So how far can we go with this in the fluctuations? So how far can we reach? Where does it go to? and it reaches to an end point, so it's growing vaguely like the so it's vaguely into a reaching point. It will bridge ourselves to the next point that we try to reach somewhere at the end of the cycle that we already defined that it is reachable. And then of course also the aspect how far can we evolve with what we engage in our idea that we added here in this new cycle. How far can we evolve this? That's the letter D. It's a delta. You can see it's almost like there's a sword there, so it's an action. And of course the whole system here now is activated, and that's the letter E, which is the activation of something that you put into a cycle. So here you learned very shortly already some astrological signs and some letters already. So these were of course the starting points of the night condition in the north. It's because you can define it in the north point, that's the axis point from the night vision. In the cycle of the 28 parts, this is not the number 1 but the number 8, so it's the 8th part where the whole system starts. So I will tell you why this is not the starting point of a cycle, of a psychological cycle, because it's not only the night that matters and the system of the night, but of course it's also the day which is important. The day, the north then stands for the winter. The reflection of the north is the winter time, and that is connected with the solar cycle. So the starting point of the whole cycle of starting events doesn't start in the night at the night vision, but it starts during your life, what you put into your life during the reflections of the winter. In the winter everything is at its minimal point where you don't have much guidance from the sun, but so we will start here in that reflection from the winter conditions. So the 4th part of the square is the winter. This starts at number 1 with the Ciao thing, the Ciao phase. Ciao is actually also Italian for hello or hello. So it's a greeting, the greeting which actually engages something into the life, into space, and you can see also Greek letters all the time. So from the first point that you find, and the starting point of every cycle, you leave it to the cycle itself and you engage it in the cycle, and you see and you check what is usable, what is workable. And the next letter is gang or gang, so you leave it into a certain so the cycle goes its way, it goes its continuation, so there is a continuation and you make it continue. In the middle there's the variations of Wang, which is that short, but it means a little bit like the catch, so you receive what is in the cycle, you engages this in the cycle, and you simply follow it up. So you follow it automatically, you catches what you can, you grasp what you can, and you engages it very automatically, so that it can unfold automatically, and you deliberately also unfold it. And once you engages deliberately what you get in winter or what you have left in winter, it's up to your choice what you follow up further and put into the cycle. So your choices there in winter were the things that will be engaged in spring as well. So of course you can get back to the spring part, which we already explained. So now you can see how this is connected with the spring part, and so you have the workspace. gets a direction. There are fluctuations in your expression. You can see how far it reaches. You see how far it evolves, and it simply is already activated because of your choices in winter. Next phase is of course what comes out of it in the summer, and the summer is here the third part. So the first thing, you assemble a lot of material here, so everything goes automatically. It increases, it becomes more and more. So the first thing you do is you keep your outer focus on a lot of material. In the end, there's so much material that you can only just follow what you get, because there's more than one direction. In the beginning, with your outer focus, you are like the teacher in the class, and you can still everybody can follow the course. But if you're distracted, okay, or somebody respond, or there's a conversation, it's not no longer one vision, there are more visions. So the only thing you can do is follow all the leads that are occurring. If there are even more leads and more elements occurring, okay, you start to assemble these things, and it's more like a whole collection of events, and it's already more complicated. So the estimation first of your focus is again the follow-up of everything that goes into a cycle. In the full cycle is of course the O again. So it's the processes that are together and working together, and the assemblation is the P, which is actually also the letter which is about like after a process you get some results that you can derive from it. That's the P. The diversity is a situation where there are so many elements that you cannot make an order anymore. You have to take them all. So you have to take all the elements together. There's no other way. You cannot make choices. Diversity is the most dominant thing. The next stage is that you can still keep your own inner focus there, and also your inner guidance and your inner direction. In that way, you can still keep some elements together from your own vision, and that you will keep in the end of summer. And of course it will be different from everything which has evolved. There are a lot of things that evolve now, and some of it will from you will be useful, and other things will not be useful. Some of it of the environment will not be useful. So it is a selection process that has been engaged now, like in harvest or fall as well. The structure, or how it all keeps together, is weakened. So the only thing we can do is make a choice. There choices are made, and thanks to the choice you also say, like, I will give it a try. I will give something a try, and this is a risk. This is the risk which is in harvest, the risk of keeping something or something that will fall. So the choice is the letter T, and giving it a try is the letter what is that? Epsilon. I don't know how it's in English. It's also U in certain sometimes, but okay, I will not explain that further. But in harvest, it's also a challenge, because you have to figure out, is this workable or is this not workable? And there's different phases there. The next phases from harvest is like a kind of checking out, does it work or does it not work? What is the impact? Are there some distinctive differences that we can use? Are there some workable parts that I can take out? Is there an activity that is useful? Is there a practicable workability? These are phases in harvest that you use, and they connect with these 28 phases of the moon as well. It's not more than psychological perception. And this perception changes thoroughly, slowly, because of also your attention is changing, because in harvest you can no longer sit in the sun and just have all the food that you you have available in your fridge. You have to check it twice, like, oh, do I still have enough or not? Of course, we're not so much connected with nature and with this system anymore, but the system itself still exists, because there's most of the time there's always something in the fridge, and every year everything is the same in the modern life. But still, this system of 4 seasons have an impact on us, and it's better that we connect all our thoughts with it before we start to fantasize that everything works all the time, or something works which doesn't, without making connection as well, like the flat earth people do, not making a connection. Then you lose a lot of reality if you start to do that. So that was it for today. Of course, there are other methods with the 28 parts as well, from different perspectives and different people, that I have included in this book as well. The ancient Egyptian, the Arabic, and some of the other visions of the Chinese 28 parts I included in the book as well. If you want to know more about it, you can read the book and check it out on Trafford.com. And you can also watch visit the website for more information. The series which I'm recording will be an addition to the book, like I explained in the beginning of the video, and you will have extras outside the book. Some of the things will not be explained in the book, or will explain differently, and it gives you some guidance, some extra guidance for people who are interested in this. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.